When it comes to the March Spotlight tier list, the Mockingbird Ms.Marvel Man thing looks to be the most powerful of the weeks. If you're looking for one in particular, this is the one to look for. When it comes to all the other weeks, it seems to me that this is a maintenance month where they're putting at least not strongly and not popular Series 4s and Series 5s, since they need to have all the cards in rotation. So this month feels like a down month, of one of the weaker months or the lower quality months. So if you are just looking for higher cards, you really have to be interested in the newer cards, because the cards they're next to are not that strong, and we'll go into it. So let's get started. How you doing, everybody? So today we are going over the March 2024 Spotlight tier list. We'll be covering this set of cards. The cards themselves, I think, are very interesting, very cool. It just seems to me that they're putting the cards in like next to non-desirables, you know, like not to be mean, but yeah, let's get started. All right, so let's take a look at the overview March Spotlight tier list. Still have the same ratings. A, very good. B, solid if you really like the cards. C, generally not recommended, but if you like the spotlights, then feel for it. And then D is, just for spotlight players. So first off, we have the first week, Pixie, Mobius, and Spider-Ham. So I will just start off saying that overall, after looking through the list of the cards or the spotlights, right, I like the new cards being released, but I think this month they really hammered on releasing these cards next to, in my opinion, unpopular or underperforming Series 4 cards, with the notable section of Ms.Marvel, but we'll get to it. So this just feels like a maintenance month in terms of what the cards are next to in the quality. There's no like big bad Thanos level stuff. There's no Jeff, any of these like really premium cards that you want to have. They're really just next to, in my opinion, like cards you don't need to have in your collection, and they're also Series 4. So Pixie is a main example of that. I think Pixie has potential. Pixie itself, I'm particularly wanting to see what the community decks are for Pixie, because I think it could have the potential of Mr. Negative, or it could have like just high tier potential, but it's hard for me to fully recommend it, since there's definitely a case where Pixie might be a good card, but if you don't have like good synergies, it'll just have like sub 50% win rate, right? So that's my fear of like fully recommending it. That's why, it's in D, but it could be better depending on like, oh, these decks are just very good by themselves and Pixie makes them broken. Like that's the dream scenario for Pixie. Uh, However, it's next to Mobius, Spider-Ham. I think these are some of the like are decent Series 5 cards. They're not top tier Series 5, but they're decent enough that they're okay. So if you are missing both of them and you do want them, I think this is like okay. Like this would be like B plus level, in my opinion. But generally, if you are not missing both of them, then you're essentially getting Pixie, which is, iffy to me, plus a Series 4 card, which I would most likely prefer you spend tokens. Obviously, you're not going to have, 2,000 or 20,000 tokens to buy all the cards, but if you really want Mobius, like Mobius, if you really want Spider-Ham, feel free. I do think maybe Pixie Mobius should be B tier, just because it's going to be good into the Pixie meta during this first week, right? So you could definitely argue for me that, hey, the Pixie Mobius is actually B, because you want Mobius, or Mobius is going to be a lot better once Pixie gets out. Same thing with Mockingbird. I guess that's a super fair argument to make here. Mobius is going to be very good into Pixie. Mobius is going to be very good into Mockingbird. So it's pretty premium in this month. So you may as well get it while you can, especially during the first week of the season. So You know what? I'm going to change it. Through the magic of editing, woohoo! I will say that one is also B, just because Mobius in particular is going to be good into this meta, so there's it gets increased value in my opinion here, so that's why it's moving up from C to B. So that's my thoughts on this first week. Next up, we have the Mockingbird Ms.Marvel season. I would say from my list, this is the best set of cards, just because Mockingbird, I think, is, in my opinion, the easiest to play out of the 4 cards being released. And then Ms.Marvel is just a very good Series 5 card. So those two are enough to sell a series or spotlight for me. So that's A tier for me. Man Thing is definitely, in my opinion, one of the weakest Series 4s in the game, so I really don't have a lot of value for getting Man Thing. Maybe they buff Man Thing, but I don't even know how you buff it to make it playable and not broken, right? Because if you make it -3, that's broken. If you make it a 4/6, that's like, it's the same card. It's not that much better. So you have to do something a little bit more complicated, and that's where the difficulties lie in the buff trajectory. So not sure about that one. But yeah, Mockingbird strong. I think it's going to be very easy, especially in Thanos. You just play with Thanos. It works with Squirrel Girl. Someone was asking in the comments, like, tokens work with the card. So like it seems so easy to make this a 3/9 or cheaper. So I just see like that being good enough to see play. Like, people are saying play in Patriot. Yeah, I mean, you have to be playing Patriot. Patriot's not the strongest deck right now, and I just think there are other decks to be played that can take advantage of this pretty well. So yeah, definitely think that's going to see a card to see play. And then Ms.Marvel is also just very strong. So those two seem very good. So this is, in my opinion, the best spotlight of the season. Not S tier. Maybe if Man Thing was also good, then you'd have S tier, but A tier is still very strong. Next up, we have Cannonball. This has the same problem with the Pixie week. It's next to Kitty Pryde and Ghost Spider, which are really some of the least popular Series 4s. They're Series 4s and they're least popular. Like, it's not a Zabu Darkhawk, but Darkhawk got changed, right? Kind of unfair there, but it's not those type of cards. So you're not really seeing that much Kitty. You're not seeing that much Ghost Spider. And then Cannonball, I think, is one of the more interesting cards released, but I don't know if it's going to be this like high tier. It could see play in Junk, so you might see like Junk Debris or Debris Cannonball. Like, that would be something I would try. Like, I would try something like Magic Debris Cannonball if I was like theory crafting. However, like, Debris is not a popular card, you know what I mean? So and the Magic Debris is not a established archetype, so you're kind of gambling in a sense of like, is this going to be good enough that it becomes high tier meta that people want to play? I don't know. So that's why it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, Cannonball seems strong. It might be, but there aren't evidence to showcase that it will be, like, you know, consistently, and that's really what it takes for it to have like very high ratings there. So it's a card that could be good, likely might be middling, and then it's next to two like currently unpopular Series 4 cards, like, you know, like, not great. So same issue here with the Pixie, not really highly rating this particular week as well. And then the last one we have is War Machine. So War Machine, I do like. I do think it's good. And it's also similar to Ms.Marvel in that, not similar to Ms.Marvel, similar to the Mockingbird in that it's next to a Series 5 card. However, different one is like Silk is one of the least popular Series 5 cards currently. I do think it has a place in like Silky Smooth, things like that. But even then, it's not, that deck right now is not that popular comparatively. Like, it loses to Hela, it loses to Lockjaw, both decks, so it's not really a popular deck in the meta right now. So you're not really seeing that much of it. So even Silk, even though it is a Series 5 card, that should be a buff, but it's one of the least popular ones, so I can't really rate it that high. But I will rate it a little bit higher than Silver Samurai just since it's a Series 5 compared to the Series 4 Silver Samurai. It initially they were both kind of like C tier or so, or they were both B tier, but I felt like, Series 5 is intrinsically more valuable. Second is like, yeah, that's why we're not releasing any more Series 4 cards. Hurts, but I do like War Machine. Onto the topic of War Machine himself, like he seems playable. He seems strong to me. War Machine to Infinite seems very good. War Machine Ebony Moss also decent. Like it's not as good as Infinite to me, but well, I mean, it's 1 mana 7 power compared to 6 mana 20 power. So you could argue like Ebony Moss is better than Infinite. Power description, power wise it is, but Infinite's the one card easier to kind of just have a big card on the field. But yeah, I do think War Machine is going to be part of the meta just because it opens up synergies and also cleans up synergies, and it's also good into some locations. So there's a lot of benefits for it that aren't really being accounted for in my opinion. Like just being able to play into any location. Like there are some locations like that Jeff still struggles in, like that bounce location. You can't just play into them; you just get bounced back. So, there are some issues there, but it still opens up a lot of like here are locations they're trying to flood you. Oh, that doesn't matter anymore. I can just play into the flooded location. Like your storm, I don't care anymore. That type of stuff is very powerful. So I just see this card seeing play. So it's quite high from a card perspective. However, I don't really value that high the cards they're next to. And overall, that's a consistent theme with this month, in my opinion, that this is like a maintenance month in terms of like the quality of cards that the new cards are next to are not that high. Silver Samurai, not that popular. Kitty Pride, Ghost Pride are not that popular. Ms.Marvel, yes, that's the only exception. Man Thing, very like the worst, one of the worst in Series 4. And then Mobius and Spider-Ham are okay. Like these are decent rated cards. They're not like the highest tier Series 4, and they're also Series 4 cards. So same base issue, just these are a little bit better than the other ones they're next to. So just seems like they have to have all of the Series 4 and Series 5 cards in a rotation in some capacity. You can't just have like Darkhawk every time or Thanos every time. That wouldn't make sense. So they have to have these until they drop them down. So this just feels like here are just, I hope you forget like that these aren't that good or these aren't worth a spotlight key. So that's what makes this this month peculiar, because some of the cards are next are very good or very interesting, but the spotlight itself is not. So and I compared some of these spotlights to some of the ones last month. Like you had the Corvus X23 and another card. What was the other card? Corvus X23 and Gladiator, right? Like that one is S tier, right? There's nothing like that here. There's nothing that's close to that level of quality. So if you're just comparing, there's no way that you're gonna have like that level of cards. So hopefully they get through this month and see what the data says. Like, are people interested in just tons of Series 4s or Series 5, Series 4, Series 4, that kind of thing. But just looking at it, this is a month maybe skippable, unless you're very interested in some of the new cards, right? So some of the new cards are interesting, like that I could definitely see you just like going for it anyways. But when I look at it holistically, this is pretty much a low month compared to like some of the previous spotlight months we've had before. So overall, that is my opinion on the series, the spotlight tier list. Hope you guys enjoy it. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Educated calling snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be impeccable.